Let's put a hand together for Jeremy, please, please. Now, let's put our hands together for you all, this beautiful group of people. All these smiles. When I came in, I just felt so welcome. I really did. I feel welcome. The atmosphere is inviting. So I want to thank you all, the Pastor Bert and his one lovely wife, and all of you all for having me as a guest, and Jeremy, my brother and friend in Christ. I thank God for you truly, because I'm really one that's willing to go anywhere to share what God did for me. As part of this movement of unlocking second chances, it means so much to me because I'm a product of what a second chance looks like. So you can put a face on it, you can put whatever you want on it, but here's the tangibleness of it right here. As Jeremy was sharing, and I'll share a little bit later why I was in prison, because I like for people to wonder. I like for you to wonder what he did to be in prison, and he's here with us. And because wonder if he'll do it again. So I like to let your minds wonder. Anybody mind wondering already? You don't have to raise your hand. It's all right. Everywhere I go, I know I have a bunch of wanderers, because I don't look like where I've been. And I don't sound like where I came from. And you know what? I don't even smell like prison. A prison has a smell. It has a smell, and it's a captive smell. It's a smell that holds you in bondage. It's a smell that goes along with, I don't want that no more. I don't want to smell that, because I like being out here with you all, smelling the lovely trees and the flowers and the view that's coming down 280 highway. It just does something to me, because you can't see that on the other side. There's no beautiful pictures. There's no lovely birds. There's no flowers, nothing to remind you of freedom. All that is taken away from you. And so when I come in a place like this and begin to see these lovely smiles and these faces, it makes me want to smile, and it makes me want to stay on this side. 8 years ago, 2011 was the year that I was sentenced to prison, and I was given a life sentence. What that means is not life without, but a life sentence means forever life. And they gave me a 10-year setup. So I had life in 10 years is what the judge sentenced me to. And I couldn't fathom my life just taking and going to prison for life in 10 years. I had 3 small children. I had a wife. I had a home. I had, the average life that I thought, but I had some things going on in my life that I was keeping out of the public, sort of say. At least I thought it was. But the police obviously knew what I was doing. And so one day, in the midst of what I had going on, the lights came on. The lights came on, and when I looked in my rearview mirror, just like if you're doing something wrong and you see the lights come on, automatically you assume, well, why they stopping me? I thought, I ain't doing nothing. Anybody ever been like that? Some of you ran that traffic light. Well, anyway, I was involved in marijuana trafficking. I was having large supplies of marijuana brought into the city of Birmingham. And this particular day, I had an itsy bitsy amount of weed, just a little bit. Not the normal, what I normally would have. I normally would get an 18-wheeler load with 1,000 pounds on it. Wow. But this particular day, I had a small little bitty load, like the kind some of us probably used to carry now. Well, not this group of people. I'm thinking I'm somewhere else. But it was the kind that like our legislators and lawmakers would have when they're on their way to work. But not that group of people here. It's the kind that average high school, college. Well, anyway, I had a little small amount. The lights came on. And when the lights came on, it changed my life. Like I said, I had a family. I had everything going for me that I thought was good, but I was really operating out of the will of God. Because 1, I knew better. 2, I know eventually you commit crime, you're going to get caught. Don't too many people get away with committing the kind of crime that I was doing. So like I said, I was sentenced to a life sentence. I had people come and speak on my behalf, dignitaries, top name lawyers, spent a lot of money trying not to go to prison. But it was like it was inevitable. I had to go to prison. And when I got to prison, I was bitter. I was angry. I was upset until I realized really why I was in prison. because it wasn't my first rodeo. That was my second time going. The second time is always worse than the first time. Because when you've got out of prison and you actually experienced living a life and you accumulated things and you met good people, and then now you've got to leave that and go back to a place that's literally horrible. Prison was horrible. The second time around, it was real, real bad. And this is how I ended up meeting Chaplain Miller, because he was working at one of the worst, quoted unquote, at that time, prisons in the state of Alabama. Well, the homicide rate was high, and the attempted murder rate was on the rise every day. And I went there to take a particular program to help me get out of prison faster. And so I meet Chap, and like he was saying, my faith had got so stirred up about not doing those 10 years on that life sentence that I never accepted it. I never said I got to do 10 years. I began to confess out of my mouth that, God, if you who you say you are, and I do believe you are who you say you are, that you will take this sentence, because I had learned why I was there. So my bitterness was gone. My anger was gone. I had accepted the fact that you did wrong to get here and you knew right. And so that's why you here. When I released that thing, God began to get involved in my situation. In fact, God began to speak to me from the paperwork and tell me that you're not going to do the 10 years on the life sentence, that I'm going to bring you out early. He never gave me a number. This is why I continue to talk every day as if that day was that day. When Chap would see me, he said, well, how you going? How you doing? I said, I'm going home soon, probably tomorrow. He said, what, you got something in court? I didn't have anything in court because I wasn't trusting the court system. I was trusting in the Savior. Right. I was constantly, the more and more I confessed it, the more and more it seemed like it was getting closer and closer to coming to pass. So when I transferred from there, I had took my program, completed it, and graduated, and God moved me to another camp. I had went to 5 prisons in 7 years. So I moved around a lot. But everybody know me from those different institutions that my confession stayed the same. That this man never talked like he was in prison. He never accepted prison. I didn't put prison on. I always prayed and fasted and confessed that God was going to deliver me. So when you think about unlocking second chances, see, I never received that I was locked up anyway. And I believe God, just like that there was the thief on the cross, 2 thieves and a savior. One thief recognized who the Savior was. He said this, he said, we justly deserve to be on this cross. But this man hadn't done anything to be what he is. And he asked Jesus that day, remember me. See, I asked God to remember me. And that day, that Jesus told him, today you will be with me where? Paradise. Where? Paradise. See, paradise is a figurative word that can be used, because see, today I'm standing in paradise on this side. Not the heavenly paradise, but believe me, if you compare this room and this place to what an institution that I done came from, this is paradise. And so this is the manifestation of unlocking second chances, giving somebody a chance at paradise. See, it's many men right now would trade places with me to be standing out here with you all. They standing in there, they serving God, they believe in God, they trust in God. Because when I go back in there now, that's what I do. I go back into the very prison that held me captive, and I release hope. I tell them this is what it looked like. This is what God is able to do to bring you out. Now, according to the paperwork, I should still be in there with 2 more years before I get out of prison. I'm supposed to be 21 is when I'm supposed to be eligible for parole, and that wasn't promised. But I believe God. I believed God to the point that he was going to bring me out. And my prayer was, bring me out so that I may serve you. 15 months to the day, my feet have not ceased to serve God. And everywhere I've been, I'm telling somebody about what God did for me, how Jesus opened up prison doors for me. Chaplain, like you said, he's been keeping me busy and on the move ever since I got out. And that's what gives me the reason to believe in unlocking second chances. See, this is what it looks like. And there are men and women who need to know that there are people on the other side who are not afraid of them. Right. Who just because you've been somewhere like that don't mean that you can't be used by God. But somebody just wave their head at me, talking to the right people. Just because I was sentenced to life in prison don't mean that I cannot be used by God, that I don't deserve to have a second chance at opportunity. that I don't deserve to have a job. Come on, talk back to me if you can. That I don't deserve to be in the midst of good, loving people like you all. That I don't deserve to be able to be out here and go about my everyday business and tell somebody about a Savior named Jesus. That's what unlocking second chances is about. So you may say, well, what can we do? I mean, we're just out here, you can pray. Pray for Jeremy. Pray for me. And maybe you may know somebody. There are men and women who are getting out and they want to work. They good at what they do. They're skillful. I went in prison and developed a skilled trade in HVAC. I don't do HVAC. I'm a painter. But I was painting in prison, and I was able to cultivate my skill while I was there. And there are men and women who are behind those walls who are smart and intelligent. See, because when I hold a conversation on this side with people, they never know that I've been to prison until I tell them. They ask me, what college did you graduate from? Where did you get your education? And then when I reflect to them and tell them, I got my GED while I was in prison. And then I started college while I was in prison. And then I come back out to Faulkner University, and then I began to study and major in criminal justice. And not only was that, I was so smart in the criminal justice because I had been a criminal most of my life. that my knowledge superseded the professor one day. He had to pull me over out the class and say, hey, how you, and I had to let him know that I've been there and I've done that. So you see, it's no hindrances to people coming out of prison unless you become a hindrance to them. Because I came out with a mindset that, hey, I'm going to serve God. I'm going to live a good life. And since that time, God has restored my life. He's restored things and people in my life. Gave me a beautiful, lovely wife. Y'all going to shout with me in a minute? Amen. Gave me a just everything that my heart has desired and put me in good presence with good people. And I know the best is yet to come. That's why I'm just, every chance I get to give my testimony, I'm going to share it. I don't care where it is. It can be in the, whatever door open up, I'm coming in and I'm going to share it. So when Jeremy and I pulled him, we saw the sign up there, a restored prisoner. We both laughed. But in actuality, that's what it is. The truth of the matter, you're looking at a restored prisoner. And he didn't just restore me on this side. He restored me while I was in prison. Amen. Ain't he good? See, because he'll come into those most dark places and murky places where the average person don't want to go. He'll come in, and when he comes in, the light comes on. Amen. Just like when the lights came on when that officer stopped me and I thought that all hope was lost. I feel like preaching now. Come on. In the same way the lights came on when I was condemned to die in prison. Come on. The same way when that light came on in that place, I got a glimmer of hope. Amen. And guess what I'm looking at today? I'm looking at glimmers of hope. Because it's bringing me joy to be on this side with you people that's just smiling here, looking just lovely. Because I was just 15 months ago on the other side with some grim looking faces. Some men who had gave up on hope because family members had gave up on them. Some men had been ostracized from society and said that they were no more good, no more use. And then all of a sudden, the same light that came on for me come on for them. Come on. Yeah. One day somebody in there gonna realize that there is hope. Even though people might not write me no letters and they might not accept my phone calls, there is a person, a man named Jesus, who his phone is never too busy. Come on, talk back to me if you can. There's a man named Jesus who always is near to those who have an upright and a broken spirit. I wish I had somebody. He's always on call, looking for somebody to call out his name. And I'm so thankful that one day I was so low that I looked up. All right. Amen. And I called on the name of Jesus while I was in that dark, gloomy place. Amen. Folks thought I had lost my mind in prison because I gave away everything that I had one day. This one, I knew that it was close. And I had some nice things in prison. God really took care of me while I was in there. I stayed clean and stayed pressed, and because I didn't want to look like what I was around. And one day God told me, he said, lighten your load. You about to go. All right. I jumped off my rack. You can hear my feet hit the floor. And normally when I move, everybody looking, because normally I break out with a praise or break out with a preaching in prison. So everybody was looking. And I took my bag and I had all these white, nice t-shirts and the socks and, the finer things. And I began to give them away. They said, he gone crazy. That man down there giving away all them good, all this stuff. I gave everything away except for 5 days worth of clothes so I can change out. And it wasn't 11 days after that, I got another transfer from where I transferred from to a work camp. And right then and there, I knew it's over with.
Here we go.
30 days from that transfer, I was able to call home and say, y'all can come and get me.
Come on.
Y'all gonna shout with me right now? I had went from walking around that murky prison, and God was just transitioning and down and moving. Till it was 30 days when I was able to call home and tell my folks to come on get me. I walked out of that prison, a free man with my head held high.
Amen.
With my trust in my Savior. I had my mind made up that I was going out to do the will of God.
Praise the Lord.
So when you look and you think about unlocking second chances, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You see, they don't have a color on it. They don't have a neighborhood on it. They don't have a certain side of town on it. It looks just like this. Jesus, he unlocks and gives second chances. So I thank you all for letting me share. Thank you all for those smiles. I'm going to remember each one of these smiles that I'm looking at today. And I pray that you all continue to pray for us. That God would elevate this move of unlocking second chance, because there's always somebody who needs one. Thank you.
Amen.